Are you developing a React Native application and feeling overwhelmed by managing global state? You're not alone. Today, we're diving into how to save user IDs and check login status across all components without the complexity of Redux. I totally get it. Managing state in React Native can be tricky, especially when you just want a simple solution to track user login status. Many developers face this challenge, and it can be frustrating when the tools seem overly complicated. Here's the specific question we're addressing today. A user asked how to save the user ID of a logged-in person and check their login status in every component. They mentioned that while Redux is an option, it feels too complex for their needs. Sound familiar? Let's explore some alternatives together. So, what are the options for managing global state in React Native? While Redux is a popular choice, it can indeed feel like overkill for simple state management. Let's break down some alternatives that might suit your needs better. And stick around. At the end of this video, I'll share a simple solution that could save you a lot of time and headaches. To manage global state in a React Native application without using Redux, the user can utilize the Context API. This allows for a simpler way to share state across components. Next, the user should create a provider component. This component will hold the state and provide it to all child components that need access to it. After creating the provider, the user should wrap their application with this provider. This ensures that all components within the app can access the global state. Finally, in any component where the user wants to access the global state, they can use the useContext hook. This allows them to retrieve the user ID and update it as needed. Fun fact, did you know that the Context API was introduced in React 16.3? It's a powerful tool that many developers overlook. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach to managing global state in React Native is to consider libraries like Jumpsuit and MobX. However, keep in mind that these may not necessarily be easier than Redux. The user emphasizes that state management can be complex, with much happening behind the scenes. That's it for that response. Let's explore another one. One alternative approach for managing global state in React Native is to create a globals.js file. In this file, you can define a variable to store the username, for example. Then you simply import this global variable wherever you need it in your components. To set the username, you can assign a value to the global variable like this: global.username equals your username. Then, you can easily check the username in your components using a simple condition. Let's take a look at another answer from another user. One alternative approach is to use a class component to manage global state. First, create a class component and initialize your state in the constructor. You can then assign the component instance to a global variable. In other components, you can access this global state. For example, you can update the state from any component by referencing the global variable and calling setState. That's all on that answer. Let's take a look at another one. One alternative solution is to use a global object in your React Native application. By setting a global variable in your app.js file, like global.user equals user, you can access this variable in other components, including drawer navigation. Now, let's see a response from a different user. One alternative solution for managing global state in React Native is to use a global provider. This approach allows you to provide global data to all components without the complexity of Redux. You create a context and a provider that wraps your application. Inside the global provider, you can use the useReducer hook to manage your authentication state. This allows you to change the state easily. To access the global state in any component, simply use the useContext hook. Here's the simple solution I promised. Use the Context API for your global state management. It's lightweight, easy to implement, and perfect for tracking user login status. And there you have it. You now have the tools to manage global state in your React Native app without the complexity of Redux. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks. Happy coding!